wake-up call, pal. Go to work.
Right then, morning guys, or afternoon if you are watching this on playback. Plan of action today. We've not done one of these on YouTube in a while, so plan of action today, we're going to have a look at the charts. We're going to have a look at where big boy BTC is. We're going to have farm some data. We're going to have a look at what is potentially going on right now, because it has had a good week push up, hasn't it? Okay, Bitcoin's had a good few days of push up. So let's review where we've come from, where we are potentially going next, because there are some really key information and data points that I want to share with you if you've not been following along on Twitter or whatever. Okay, so first and foremost, just in the TRDR console on the multiverse, this is what I have open 24 hours a day. Grab a link from below if you want to get involved in here. You get a free pro trial and more in there as well. Jump into the doc pages and all the good stuff. But first and foremost, just a very quick look just on a TA chart really before we deep dive into more of this. Okay, we're going to have a look at the bid ask, we're going to have a look at the volume, we're going to have a look at the ratios, everything today with you. I'll try and keep it as quick as possible. I'll try and keep it as precise, but there are some interesting things going on right now. All right, guys. So look, first and foremost, jump in the chat if you've got anything for me to look at. I will obviously keep an eye on the chat as well and have a look at anything that you need me to. And it will also keep me from talking shit for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Those of you familiar with my live streams know that I will rant on for a while after a few double espressos. Right, TA chart. First and foremost, I'm going to just quickly show you this right now, and then we will come back to this. Okay, so look, BTC last night pushed up to this higher zone of the channel and actually pushed outwards of this 4-hour channel as well. Okay, if you extend the range, now we've got value area high a little bit higher there, which would crack that 70k level. Okay, 70k is going to be important. I don't think 70k is anything too significant. Okay, full disclosure, I'm in a short right now. Okay, from 69,200, I believe I entered at 69,200 or just over last night. I was going to stay up last night and trade the session with NVIDIA earnings and stuff, but was quite comfortable, quite happy with my entry. And it's one of those when you get good execution on those entries that you can relax and say to yourself, okay, if I'm wrong here, I'm going to let the market stop me out. End of. Okay, so just to show you where we quickly are now, we've pushed up, we've come back down. This morning when I woke up, we were just sat under the point of control of this range now. Okay, and we're back into this channel. Yeah, so that is where we are now. We're going to come back to this in a second. Okay, I just want to show you where we've potentially come from and where we are going. Okay, so if I just go to Twitter, okay, just very quickly, if you're not following us, oh, has anybody seen this? Watch this. I forgot about this, so funny. Sorry, turn that up. If you're unfamiliar with who Nancy Pelosi is, she's a US Congresswoman and she's prolific for insider trading.
Not corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it.
That's obviously an AI add-on. Brilliant. I did enjoy that when I first woke up this morning. Right, let's crack on then. Going off topic there, let's crack on. Right, so beginning of the week, we got the instant, just a little bit. Let's just go very quick. Let's just go back to the beginning of the week and where we have come from. So the last few weeks have been leaning bearish. The price action has just been terrible, hasn't it, really? I still think we're in a good value area for spot trades, longer term holds, but the price action, if you've been short in the price action over the last few weeks, it's been very good. So Monday morning when I woke up, Bitcoin nuke from the meme triangle, sweeps a lot of liquidity under 65k. Caution on new shorts if you simply expect a lower prices, okay? And that was first thing Monday morning. We actually got a little bounce up Monday, but then rotated back down lower, as I'm sure we all know. We actually went down to 62k. But from the beginning of the week, I was thinking, and it's taken a little bit longer than expected, isn't that always the case? I've been thinking since the beginning of the week that we're going to shoot up, really, and push up, because there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of doomsdaying going on, isn't there? And in reality, Monday into Tuesday, the order books in the TRDR console were looking pretty good. We had some good depth of book. I think we got to about 800 million aggregated depth on BTC into Tuesday as we hit that 62k level. But yeah, I think this squeezes back up in, I did say the next 12, 24 hours, obviously it's taken longer than that, to previous resistance, okay? Now, previous resistance is, at that time, 67.5 to 68k, at least, maybe higher, okay? And this is important. As the week has progressed, we have taken a lot of liquidity to the upside, and it was interesting to see how strong the price action was. Now, sometimes I would say there's been obviously a lot of speculation on Twitter and stuff about Jane Street selling, manipulation. I'm not going to get too involved in that. Yes, I think it's disgusting if it's true. They've, you know, Jane Street, if you don't know who they are, a fund, I think they do a bit of market making as well, but basically a fund, prolific because SBF and what's her name, the ugly witch troll looking girl, Thingy Ellison, worked there from FTX as well. And it's coming out now that Jane Street have been making billions and billions and billions, not just in crypto, but in the stock market as well. Okay, they've actually been banned from certain jurisdictions from trading. Really, really prolific insider knowledge and stuff going on there. But isn't that always the case with the stock market and everything else as well? You know, welcome to the fucking show. Isn't the stock market like that as well? Anyway, I'm not going to speculate on that too much, but people are saying this run up in BTC is because Jane Street are not selling, when in actual fact, you know, from Monday, Tuesday onwards, we know our resistance levels, don't we? You know, so sometimes price will just go to an area because that is what it needs to do. Yeah, it just needs to do that. Okay, so look, yesterday, looking at the area we were coming up to, I started to raise my targets of where we can potentially look if anyone was in long positions to TP those long positions if you were. Personally, I wasn't in a perps or prop long on BTC, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a resistance zone that I was looking to get involved in shorts with. Okay, so look, Bitcoin bulls have had a great couple of days. No Jane Street speculation from me. Sometimes price just gravitate where it needs to. Okay. Better to think that way also in mind. You know, don't get too involved in what, you know, what these news events are. I'm not going to LARP on about show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. But sometimes that is the case. Okay. So look, 70k defended as price puts in a slight 4-hour higher high. Okay. For me, and we will dive into this in a second, the next major liquidity is actually up towards 74k. And then back down to 62k. I am actually of the opinion that this could roll over, and we've got some evidence, especially when we look at the supply, to say that we could get that. Okay, we could get that. If this is going to be a fake out of this channel, we could get that. Okay, so just in the WAP group as well, I've been sharing that with the guys. If you want to get involved in here, basically run these plans through everyone first thing in the morning. Let me just jump to present. Run through these plans with everyone first thing in the morning. Yes, it's a big load of text here, but I've had double espressos as Mrs. Nick wakes me up at 5:30 AM every morning. So these guys in here, grab a link from below if you want to get involved. Get the full verbal diarrhea from me high as a kite on my double espressos. But yeah, basically the plan all week was to look at shorts in this area. We knew where our daily resistance was. Okay, initially the daily resistance was starting at 67.6, 67.5, okay, daily resistance, okay, up above there, tiny bit high at 68, okay, so we know where the resistance is, yeah, we're planning for prices to float up there and then review, okay, whether we want to short this back down, and that's the case. We're waiting for a zone, Okay, we're waiting for that zone. When price gets there, then we'll have a look at what's going on. Initially for me, I was thinking initially, so we did hit some sell pressure at 66. I don't think that was a very good risk reward trade. So I was waiting for a little bit higher, okay? Initially for me, yeah, 66.5 into the 67, which would have been your point of control area. And then next, when we were planning, okay, into that 68k zone. We've got a big order block there. And what would that have given you? Okay, so we broke down. Okay, we're going to go and have a look at the TA and the order flow in a second, but I just want to review where we've gone and the thought process behind this for the last few days and week, to be honest, okay? So the thought process is we could come back up and test this meme triangle where you've got an order block, where you've got a point of control. Okay, you've maybe got this wick space just above there. That's a tickle above as well. As the day progressed yesterday, the price action was very, very strong. Yeah, you have to admit that. It just was, wasn't it? Okay, the price action was very strong. We hit slight supply around that 68k zone. So I was keeping everyone updated in the chat. Okay, potentially we can enter here. Okay, I'm a little bit, maybe not. And that is the way it is. As you approach a zone, you've got to review that order flow in real time. And that is where really sometimes people who are just using technical analysis may get caught a little bit off guard. So you have these zones of confluence, but then you dive into the order flow and you say to yourself, okay, price is in my zone now. Do I want to enter that short? For me yesterday, personally, I had to raise my targets a little bit. I re-reviewed the TA, I re-reviewed the order flow, and I said, okay, I think we're just going to tickle over 69k, and that is what we got. All right, guys. So, look, let's have a look what is going on now. Quick look at that liquidity then. BTC pushing up a tiny bit here. So, look, these are our liquidation zones next. If you are reviewing liquidation zones on free websites or data, I would think again, okay, I would maybe potentially pay for some data if you can. Yeah, so 10x to 75x, okay, 10x to 75x. Let's just have a look at this. Your next zone really, and this is the thing, this is why I think this was a good risk reward short. We had some big supply hitting. We're going to go and have a look at that in a second, but this was a good risk reward short. I think potentially, let me go to a 1 hour time frame. Yeah, it's gonna be higher, to be honest. Let me just go to even higher time frame, 4 hour. Yeah, so look, your next zone for me really, if you crack 70k and it stops us out of our shorts, yeah, that can happen. I think the next area is really, the next big area is going to be 74k. You're going to go and take this, to be honest. So if we crack 70k today, I'm not personally going to look with revenge and say, okay, fuck this, I'm just going to short it again, okay? I would wait for the next area. There's no point battling it. The price action has been slightly strong. This is a slight higher high on lower time frames, 4 hour and 1 hour. If we come back down, put in a higher low and come back up, I think the next time we hit 70k, it could crack and 74k would be area, okay? To the downside, it's going to be 62k and lower, okay? So if you get a giga nuke, liquidity, it's going to take these weekly lows down here, I do believe. All right, guys, so yeah, liquidation map, and as we all know, liquidations in general, especially if you're looking at the free data, okay, I would be a little bit cautious. Liquidation levels, we know that they don't necessarily move the market unless price actually goes there, and then obviously you will be like absolutely full of market orders and forced market orders up here. All right, guys, so look, let's just have a quick look at the TA then, and then we're going to jump into the TRDR console and have a look at the bid, ask, and the volume, okay, the all-important TRDR console. So here we are. So we came up to our areas of interest yesterday around this 68k. We smashed through the point of control yesterday. The price action was very, very strong yesterday. There was no bearish divergences. The order flow was still quite strong. But what we saw as we started to rise, okay, into 69k in the order flow, we started to get really, really negative book depth, okay, from the spot markets and from perps, okay? So that was looking good. That was building some confluence for a potential fake out and back down. And just on this 4 hour chart, what I would like to see now is Yeah, I'd like to see price. Price is maybe going to hang around here. So if you think about this, 66 to potentially 69, but if you're going to hold some short positions here, you want price to now, start to roll over, don't you? You want price to show some weakness. You know, you want to see some retail longs get eager in here saying, oh yeah, but you know, we've got a US Clarity Act and Jane Street have stopped selling, so we're all going to buy here and it's going to go to infinity. When in reality, the risk reward is actually with the shorts here. So to hold those shorts, I am going to let the market stop me out above that 69.9 wick and that 70k. That's absolutely fine. As I say, I don't like trading in and around round numbers, 60k, 70k. You know, but it is what it is. This is where we are, okay? So yeah, I'd like to see some weakness now to hold these shorts, or the market stops me out. If the market stops me out, I'm not just going to enter new shorts, okay? Because I think the liquidity lies a lot higher. You're probably going to get a stronger move. Not seeing evidence of that yet, but just explaining my thought process on the short right here, right now. Got a nice candle down, and we're just hanging around. Bitcoin can do that. Bitcoin and ETH can do that, okay? They can take a little bit time. You know, unless war kicks off in the Middle East, I'm not just going to expect a giga nuke down to 62k now to take that lower liquidity. You know, this could take another week. You know, just be prepared for that. How long do you want to hold your shorts? If you start to roll over, are you then just going to look for lower highs? Okay, and you're going to trade this down. You know, plan what you're going to do. Even if, for me personally, even if I get stopped out the short now, I still wouldn't long this here. I think we're in good areas for spot trading, okay, holding those spot longs. But for me personally, unless I see something super aggressive under price, you know, all aggregated markets start to come in and go, yeah, fuck this shit, we're going to bid this, we're bidding this, absolutely solid, and we get solid book depth, then fine. You're going to get that higher low, okay, from a higher high, okay? So high, lower high, cheeky, higher high. Do we come down for a higher low, massive bid? Okay, then we need to think again, don't we? But until we see that, no, holding shorts for now, okay? Let's just quickly run down top down, shall we? Okay. Weekly chart. The weekly chart is looking pretty good, I have to say. You've got a big wick, but what am I going to say instantly about the weekly chart? You've got 3.5 days left. All right, you've got 3.5 days left. If you caught up with us on the video that I put on Tuesday, another reason why we were kind of looking for a run back up was you've got a weekly wick there, which was 65. We took the liquidity under that weekly wick, and you also had a daily wick, okay, which I'll show you in a second. Look, the weekly chart's not telling me too much at the minute. You could say resistance is 68. What is that a close on there? 68.8. Okay, so 68.8 is that weekly there. If you want to be absolutely particular, just drop it in the coordinates, obviously. But yeah, 68.8. That's going to be a little bit of resistance we're seeing. We've got a wick at 70k. We've got another wick so far. 3.5 days left. Other confluence for the weekly, I'm not seeing too much at the minute. You have to kind of like zoom out left and go look at last year's price action from in and around this area, okay? From a daily chart point of view, again, okay, so you've wicked up here, which is in and around the monthly VWAP, okay? You've taken the liquidity from these few candles here. This was at the weekend. This was actually weekend before price action as well. And look, this is a nice daily candle. You would generally say that's a nice, I won't call it a pin bar. I guess it's kind of a pin bar if you're into candle patterns and stuff, okay? But this was our daily level down here at 62.9. Okay, we've ramped back up. If you're watching the video from Tuesday, we've ramped back up, and it's a nice daily candle, okay? From the daily structure, have we changed much? I would say not yet, okay? I would say not yet. You know, seller climax, automatic rally up, grind down, good for shorts, TP, up, grind down, good for shorts, TP, roll over again. If anyone caught the short from Sunday, well done. It was just an instant rollover, wasn't it? And then here we are. But in reality, you could, if you're calling a wick high there, a higher high than this, you could argue that's maybe valid, but personally I need to see a little bit more than that. The daily structure for me is still overall down. Okay, it's still overall down, and then we go to our 4 hour, here we are. Okay, so that's where we are. Enough of the classic TA. That's what I want to see. We'll do a little summary at the end of the video. Okay, that's our classic TA. We're just coming back into the channel. It's going to look good if you're in short positions from over that 69k area, if we just start to auction price within this channel now and roll back over. All right, guys, so look, let's have a look. That's our liquidity. Let me just adjust that because my OCD will play havoc if I don't adjust that. Okay, yeah, that's our 4 hour chart though, basically. But if anyone is looking at this, generally I do have this on the 1 hour chart. I do have this on a 1 hour chart or lower for this liquidity. Let me just zoom in. If anyone's looking at the TPO as well, which is time price opportunity, we do have a naked point of control on the 1 hour there, which is over that 70k level. Okay, but we've got some single prints. Okay, we've got some single prints and stuff a little bit lower as well. So these are areas actually that I would look for if we do come down and find some demand. These are areas actually that you could potentially form that higher low. Okay, so you've got to build some confluence there. But let's dive into the TRDR console. Okay, so yeah, just on the multiverse view at the minute. We did actually have a short on ETH as well last night in this zone, a lighter short on ETH, because I wasn't too sure about it, because what happens is when you see Bitcoin here has just got this solid 70k level, okay, and if you're shorting in and around here, the risk reward on that is absolutely superb, because what you say to yourself is, this is my area to do business, okay, and my risk is 2 to 2.5%. That's standard for me, really, okay. But ETH, as I was shorting ETH last night, it actually I was shorting here, and you could have said your initial risk is 2.5% there, but I put a lighter short on ETH because I could see this top level there, okay? So I actually put my stops over that top level, and as you can see on Binance, we wicked right to that top level, but on breakout prop, fucking Kraken books in there. I think they're A books, but they are Kraken books. It wicked higher and stopped me out, the cunt. So I am actually short again on ETH, because it's still looking pretty rough, and you've got that top level there. BTC, if you're short in this area, nice and easy to manage now. Bloody hell, Hyperliquid's having a little bit of a run up, isn't it? No supply on it and got some bid under it. Soyboy Sol, wasn't too sure on Sol, to be honest. The books can be a little bit messy on Sol, as are 98-99% of altcoins, to be honest, as well. Not trading most alts nowadays, I do have to say, sticking to BTC and ETH. Right, so BTC, what are we seeing right now? That's ETH chart. So BTC, what are we seeing right now? I think that range POC is slightly moved now as we have progressed, but I'll change that in a second. Look, so what I want to point out is last night, as we came up to this area of 70k, we actually got a BTC triple. Is it a triple diamond? No, double diamond there. So we're hitting supply on the way up. Okay, so BTC was cracking up, okay, into 67.5, into the 68k area. This is the first area I started to think, okay, here we go, we're in negative book depth now, the open interest is rising nicely, this is the area I want to do business, okay. But as the time progressed, with no bearish CVDs, knowing that your top level was a little bit higher, it was a case of, and actually we saw some liquidity just over 69, I think it was about 69.3, 69.4 that BTC could have wicked into, and obviously it did, okay. And then we got the double diamond there. If you're unfamiliar what this is, no momentum indicators, this is raw hard data from the order book ratios on your chart, okay. Learn more in the docs pages, jump into the docs pages, the guys have done a brilliant job with that. So I think this is a superb risk reward trade, and what I was trying to point out to everyone, as we rose into this area, we actually hit negative if anyone loads this chart, just bear in mind mine is inverted, invert scale there. Okay, why? Because historically, for the past however long I've been on the trader console, fucking hellfire, how long's it been? Probably about 6 years. I like to see the supply on the top and the bid at the bottom as it falls. So supply as we go up. Okay, so if anyone's on this and you want to just invert it back, just do that. We hit. Yeah, I mean, we did hit negative 600 million aggregated depth. Okay, so that's 1 to 10%. Okay, aggregated exchange depth. Everyone was selling in to the Bitcoin price yesterday on spot and on perps. Okay, I think I posted a chart on X, didn't I? There you go, quickly, so I just don't have to do it now. There you go. And that is the most negative depth, despite the fact you would look at this downtrend and say we're in a bit of a daily range here. Do I really want to short here? You know, technically you would kind of say, well, I would say yes, but technically you would say, well, you're in a range, you know, do I want to short the highs? Yeah, but look, I'm going off topic there. Basically, you hit the biggest negative depth. Then I should have scrolled back a little bit there. It was probably a little bit higher when we were at that 125k zone, but certainly the highest since that area there, which was around that 112k zone, which was when we back tested another meme triangle. So similar. Actually similar to what we've just seen. If you look back from the 125k down and up, it actually back tested a value area low of a range and a little bit of a triangle and nuked from there. We're seeing similar now. Now, I'm not going to speculate that we're going to get a giga nuke here. Okay, I'm just not. After such a downturn, it's pointless. But suffice to say, if you were in longs yesterday and potentially looking to hedge a short position for those spot longs or even take profit, okay, on any perps or prop longs, yeah, this is super negative depth. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Not seen that in a long time. Okay, so look, here we are now. We're still in negative depth, negative 350 million. Let's run through the books. Let's have a look at the open interest. Let's have a look at what the volume is doing as well. Okay, so look, main books I'm going to look at. Binance Spot, obviously, USDT and USDC. USDC do have a level. They've just dropped a level to 70k now after that wick. And what can you sometimes say about when you get a wick like that? It is taking liquidity, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, USDC dropping a level there to 70k. That's nice to see if you're in shorts. Okay. The 70k level has remained on Binance USDT there. Coinbase Pro, interesting, as we went up yesterday, they actually dropped a level to 70k, which I like to see in confluence with the other spot exchanges. Okay, and then rose one. I'm not too bothered about seeing passive orders. These are passive resting limit orders in the book. I'm not too bothered about seeing those orders move about really, but what I do like to see is selling or buying on top of those orders. Okay, that's what I want to see. Let's have a quick look at the others. So Gemini selling, Kraken, and Qcoin, not too much to see really from those. CoinM, mega depth selling. Nearly said mega def, the heavy metal band then. Mega depth selling. Okay, mainly 2.5 to 5% away. Okay, slight passive limit bids here in the 67 region. Not too bothered about seeing those. Again, I do like to see depth of book on these orders when you see them. A passive order is one thing, and you can take note of that, you know. So maybe you see a passive limit order, whether it's bid or ask. If you use that in confluence with liquidation levels and a little bit of TA, that is when you start to build a really, really nice story, don't you, of what you can potentially see. But if you are just seeing passive limit orders in the book, it doesn't mean anything really. It's a sign of intent, as in someone wants that level, but until it fills, you know, the bid or the ask, it doesn't mean too much. Okay, so we look at those zones and say that could be a nice area, but let's see what action takes place in and around those areas. Okay, so look, USDT was 1-2 a.m. Asian session time. I mean, look, if you're day trading or scalping, that gave you a nice drop down anyway. You know, especially if you're scalping, that would have given you a nice 2 to 3% drop. A scalper would take that all day long. Okay, when I woke up and saw that, I wasn't too interested in saying to myself, okay, I'm just going to short in this zone now. There's absolutely no point. You know, you were still in depth there. The open interest was low. I was still sticking to my plan of saying, you know, I want a little bit higher. Okay. As we rose up, confluence, okay, so double band BTC diamond alert, okay, confluence of perps and spot. Look at that, triple depth, okay, triple depth selling in the order books, and you've still got that selling now. Bear in mind that selling is 2.5 to 5% ratio away, okay, so a little bit further away. The best thing to see if you are a bear presidente would be to see perps come in now, and if they do something like this, I'm gonna have to color it up red, aren't I? If they do something like this and start dropping limit offers in and attacking price, and you see these ratios really drop down, yeah, that is gonna really say to you, number one, you want to hold your shorts, and two, potentially add, okay. But yeah, those are the order books. The order books are still negative. Let's see what we get today. Low expectations from this European session as always, and I'm not, unless something kicks off, Black Swan or whatever, I'm not instantly expecting a giga nuke, a straight 4-hour candle down here, okay? I think this could take time. I think you're going to auction price, maybe fill a few more offers around here, and let's see what we get. All right, guys, so look, volume is coming down, okay. Let me just zoom out. What time frame am I on? 15-minute time frame. So this is nice to, oh my god, I'm still on a drawing tool. Let me get rid of that. Where's my cursor? Okay, so look, CVD's coming down, which is nice to see. Open interest at the high. So if you're familiar with this template, again, I'm not going to go over it too much because the OGs in here know what I'm talking about. Go and have a look at the Volume King template in the playlist. So look, if you are in shorts, this is kind of going to make me hold my short again. Confluence, we're talking about confluence and that recipe that's baked in. What are we seeing here? Retail, okay, just a term we use. Unfortunately, it's an industry standard term. We are all retail, whether you like it or not, unless you are trading the kind of book size that Jane Street, Goldman Sachs, Citadel trade. You are all retail. I don't care how much money you've got in your Hyperliquid account, in your Binance account, or how much you are trading on prop. We are all retail, okay? But retail traders 10K and underside, so fish size orders, look like they're coming up here. We're getting a nice cross confluence, okay, of the CVD 100K in orders coming down, spot orders coming down, while the open interest hangs around. So this is a nice recipe. So we're in shorts. I'm now seeing a nice recipe to hold those shorts. Interesting as well. Yesterday, what was happening at the lows? Retail short in the lows, okay, never short the lows as we've already dropped, and big boys are saying no, I think we can come a little bit higher, okay, so watch for that today. That is what I would say. Mention that to the guys. Mention that to the guys in WAP as well first thing this morning, and in the TRDR Discord. Is just basically, yeah, just keep an eye on that. If that continues to divert down, then it's gonna look pretty good. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for BTC. Let's just have a look at what ETH is doing. Yeah, ETH could hang around here a bit. I think it's still pretty valid to short ETH here. You've got this passive order here at 2.1 defending, but there's no major selling on ETH here. CoinM have got some selling. The perps books are a little bit of a mess. They've got a little bit of a bid lower, but I'm not too fussed about that. That can soon clear out if we drop. We'll have to just see. We'll have to just see if they've got any intent of holding that zone, won't they? But ETH, not a lot to see. Soyboy Sol is going to follow along. Soyboy Sol's a good one to trade because it always kind of extends a little bit higher or a little bit lower than what BTC and ETH do. I do have to say. Hype is obviously having a good day. I'm not going to look at other stuff too much. Let me just check the screener for you, and then we'll just go over a couple of other things. So look, and this is a tip for the screener, obviously, if you want to copy my layout, just screenshot this. Unfortunately, I've got no way of sharing this, but as price was going up yesterday, I'm keeping a look on the OBD ratios, okay, of what is in supply, even though I'm not trading many altcoins at the minute. You keep an eye on the supply in perps and in spot, okay. As price drops today, okay, if it drops today, that was a little bit presumptuous of me, wasn't it? If price drops today, I would flick this to the bid side, okay, and have a look at what is getting bid. But yeah, nothing too exciting at the minute. ETC getting some bid there, but you can appreciate everything else is at the highs. I'm in a short on BTC and ETH. Do I really want a long ETC? No, thank you very much. Cardano, do you want a long Cardano? No, fuck that coin. Charlie boy, I don't know what he's been doing with that project at the minute. Yeah, so the markets, I think you're probably going to see a little bit of chop for the next couple of hours before we enter that US session. All right, guys. So yeah, not a lot to see. Few alerts pinging off. I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, let's see what we get today. Easy invalidation on BTC and ETH now. Really, really easy invalidation. Volume seems to be coming down as well. All right, guys. So look, if you've got any charts you want me to look at, drop in the chat. And we can have a quick look at those. As I say, I have really not been looking at most altcoins, and that's not because I'm thinking they're not in value. The more an asset drops, it's obviously going to be in value. My issue is more with the fact that a lot of altcoin order books and order flow, which I like to trade, perps and derivatives, obviously, have been shit. Very toxic order flow, I do have to say. There's two reasons for that. A couple of reasons for that. Number one is simply everyone's been selling and no one's really been bidding. Okay, a lot of people have given up. Maybe they've given up on, especially coins like Cardano, AVAX, Polkadot, stuff like that. You know, the charts are terrible. The charts are terrible. The order flow is terrible. Okay, so number one, maybe just people have been selling and not really bidding. And two, you know, especially if no one's trading some of those altcoins day in, day out, they're not doing high volume on spot. They're not doing high volume on perpetuals as well. They're not going to give you much edge to trade day to day, okay? And that's all you want, okay? If you're trading day in, day out, you don't give a shit about the project, you don't give a shit about ADA, you know, Charlie Hopkinson, you don't give a shit about XRP, the Lizard Illuminati coin, you don't give a shit about CZ's BNB. You need good data, and that good data comes from high volume coins. High volume coins at the minute, Hype, Sol, ETH, BTC. They're good coins to trade. All right, guys. So yeah, let's see what we get. BTC obviously did come from pretty good depth the other day, I do have to say. 800 million aggregated. We got some BTC group spot bid in there. Personally, full disclosure, I didn't take the BTC long on perps or prop, rightly or wrongly, and it was actually wrongly, because this is a good run up to play. It was a good run up. 62k was going to be a good daily level, but I was prepared this week to play the trend, and if that just meant TP on shorts from last week or this week, watch price float up to short back into it. I think that for me is the way I've been trading the last few weeks, really, is just, you know, playing the trend. One to show you, and I won't talk about it too much, was ETH actually, and the reason I can't talk about it too much is because I'm pissed off with it. And as the great Tom Dante says, if you don't know Tom Dante's English trader, he says, if you talk about a trade that you were going to trade, you know, you were planning to trade and then you didn't actually execute and trade, you are a cunt. All right. But just to say that I was watching ETH at this 1.8k level. We'd planned to maybe have a look at this, and I remember even saying to one of the guys, I'm going to have a look at 1.8. If it looks like it's going to hold, I'll take the trade. And it just did an absolute double blast from the US session into the Asian session. And then for me, really, I'm not really going to chase price action, so can't talk about that too much. It is what it is. We're in the shorts now. Let's see what we get. But yeah, I mean, we have to admit, don't we? It doesn't matter if you're bullish or bearish. For traders this week, you've had a hell of a couple of days, you know, from price chasing down into that demand zone. This is a hell of a move up. So yeah, a little bit pissed off with myself about that. Full disclosure, I am, but it happens. No crying in the casino. All right, guys. So look, let's see what we get. Let's see what we get over the next couple of hours. I'll keep everyone updated in the trader Discord as much as I can. I'll keep everyone updated in WAP. I'm posting on X as well, which is more of obviously a rougher take on what I'm expecting to see. Obviously, you know, we do post these things, you know, at the beginning of the week, expectation of that push up, but yeah, you know, it's been good, hasn't it? It has been a good week. Whether you've caught all of the price action or not, it has been a good week, I do have to say. Let's see what we get. Look, overhanging us, we still do have Middle East tensions. Stock market, NVIDIA did get a little run up yesterday. I think I posted that. Let's have a look. Where did I post it? So NVIDIA got a nice little let me have a look. Yeah, NVIDIA got a nice little run up yesterday. And what I was saying basically on the video was, I think I'm not one to short the stock market. Personally, I would personally rather wait for pullbacks. I've said that to the guys in here. NVIDIA got a nice run up, and we do have a little bit of confluence high. So NVIDIA still could get a little run up into the 197,200 level. And that's what we were saying to the guys earlier, that, you know, you've got this. Where's NVIDIA on here? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah, so NVIDIA's, you know, we're saying to the guys, look, NVIDIA, I think you've got earnings this week. It can push up into this level. I'm not going to speculate on people distributing NVIDIA stock. You know, along with Tesla and a couple of others, it's one of the strongest out there. I would never speculate on short in this area. I'm just not. I would rather short an altcoin, right? If I think markets are going to turn over, I would rather short XRP, Link, Cardano, all right? And then what I'd expect to see is a stock market rollover, give me good profits on those meme coins, altcoins or whatever, and then I would wait patiently to bid the stock market back up for higher time frame swing trades. That's personally the way I would position myself in the stock market. I just, you know, to bet against the stock market, you've got to have big balls, and I am certainly no expert on the stock market. I can review these areas. You know, let me just jump to present. I can certainly review these areas and where we can potentially go to. I don't have the balls or the knowledge to just short the stock market and say this is going to gig a nuke. If it does gig a nuke, it's going to give you value on the uptick, isn't it? All right, guys. So look, we'll call it a day there. I wanted to get this session out in the European session for you, so everyone's prepared for that US session. Obviously, we all tend to be a little bit busier in the US session as well because there's a lot more activity going on. All right, guys. But yeah, I'll try and bring back these live streams for you on YouTube as well weekly, or, you know, schedules might change a little bit, but I will try and bring them to you weekly. If you're watching this on playback, the language captions do load pretty quick, but also you can change the language. So my personal voice over language dub as well. That just takes a few more hours to load. All right, guys. So yeah, let's see what we get. Little review of BTC. So yeah, BTC summary in shorts. Gonna let the market stop me out over 70k if it chooses to. I would then personally not just revenge short this back down again. I would then review the price action. We know we've got liquidity higher at 74k and we've got liquidity down to 62k. Our biggest top level, okay, our biggest passive order still down there at 62k. Negative order book, okay, negative order book still, aggregated order book. Volume coming down, okay, as open interest hangs around at the highs. So everything is saying to me to hold on to this short, okay? Let's give it a few hours and we will review as we go. All right, guys. So look, I hope you all have a great week. I will timestamp this now so you can go and review. Let's see what we get. Either way, I think the trading has been good. All right, guys, speak soon. Cheers.